A while ago, a student asked me a question that I wasn't able to answer in depth immediately. And so I took a little time to really think about it so that I could give a fairly complete answer. The question is a simple one, but it's not a simple difference. Some words have very simple differences. It's easy to talk about them. But some have nuances that make it kind of tough. And so I want to talk about the difference between, or differences between, the word problem and the word issue. You might think, okay, I know the difference between them. I know the difference. We discuss issues. Means we're not discussing problems. That's a different thing. Okay, well, let's talk about it. Okay, let's talk about it. It's kind of nuanced. Sometimes they can be used for both. Sometimes one is used and the other is not used. And sometimes one is common, but the other one can be used. It's kind of fuzzy. So let's just start with the baseline. What's the baseline? Well, I think we can start with definitions. Now, these are not my definitions, okay? I want to be clear about that. You can get these from the free dictionary. That's what I like to use. I took the definitions. We're going to talk about the definitions first for both of these from thefreedictionary.com. I know I talk about that a lot. It's a good website. It's a great website for finding definitions. So we're going to look at the definitions from there, and then I've made some examples that can help us get a sense for the differences between the words and the similarities, when we can use both and when we shouldn't, maybe. All right? So that's what we're going to do here. Now, I hope that you can use this exploration of these two words as a model for how you explore words. When you find two words that you're not sure about, when you see a word that you deeply don't understand, or maybe you understand it, but you're not sure how to use it, I hope what we do now can give you a sort of template or a model for how to explore vocabulary, okay? So this is from dictionary.com. This is problem, okay? And let's just read these. A question to be considered, solved, or answered. And a good example of that would be a math problem, right? When you're in school, teacher gives you 10 math problems or 20 math problems to do before tomorrow, okay? So math problems, very simple, very simple. That could be a little bit broader, right? You could say we're working on a problem at my job right now. We're trying to solve it. Something is broken. All right, that's fine. A situation, matter, or person that is hard to deal with or understand. This could be physical, like I'm having problems breathing, right? Now, could you say I'm having issues breathing? Yes, but to make it stronger, and generally this is a theme, problem is the word to use. Usually we're going to use problem if something is more acute, more serious, a bigger thing, right? An issue is sometimes milder, more related to things to discuss, social things, and we'll get into that, don't worry. Okay, so having problems breathing, or maybe it's a relationship. Having a problem with my friend. Maybe you and a friend are having some major disagreements about something. Okay, fine, you could use problem in that way. A misgiving, objection, or a complaint. I have a problem with that. Somebody says something, you don't like what they said, you disagree with what they said, and you want to be very clear that you disagree. Now, this could sound a little bit rude. It could come across as, oh, yikes. But you know what? It is actually very common to use it this way. I have a problem with people who call me Luck instead of Luke. No, I'm just kidding. Difficult to deal with or control. This would be an adjective. So I want to be very clear that here we're talking about an adjective, a problem child, for example, right? A problem child. That problem is an adjective. Could we use an issue child? No. No. An issue thing. Doesn't make sense, okay? So what feeling do we get? And this is something I want you to really consider. We're not just talking about the definition. You don't understand it based on the definition. You don't even really understand it based on single examples. To really know a word, you have to know how to use it. To really know how to use it, you have to kind of, and this sounds weird, you have to feel it, you know, you have to feel it. It sounds stupid, but you do. You have to feel it. You have to feel like, yes, I know this is how this is used. It's being used in the right place. And the only way to get there is to really get the feeling for examples, to really study examples, to look at examples. It's the best way to learn vocabulary, the best way to learn phrases, idioms. Okay, so now let's look at issue. And then we're going to get into some more examples. Okay, so this is not it. Let's do this first. We looked at problem, now we look at issue. Then we get into our serious examples. Issue, a personal problem or difficulty. Notice this says personal. Personal. Okay. Her boss has issues. Now, issues. Are we being specific? Not really. We could go into detail about what that means exactly, but if someone says her boss has issues, what we're kind of saying here is there are some things wrong with her personality. You could say problems with her personality, and maybe we could go into those things. But issues, you've got some issues, is a very general statement that we make about someone sometimes. It is actually a very common sort of expression. A misgiving, objection, or complaint. I have issues with the plan. Now, remember I said I have a problem with that. I have issues with the plan. Which is stronger? I have a problem with the plan. I have issues with the plan. Which is stronger? Well, I think problem is stronger, and this one sounds a little bit more hands-off, not so direct. I have issues with the plan suggests that I don't agree with it, I don't like it, but it doesn't hit so hard compared to problem. A matter of public concern. We've been discussing economic issues. All right, now is this economic problems? Things that are wrong? No. Here is the first example where we're talking about something that's not about something wrong. With the previous two, a misgiving, a personal problem, of difficulty, a complaint, these are negative things. Something is wrong. And all of the ones we talked about with problems, something is wrong. But here, we're just saying this is the topic. This is the thing we're talking about. We're not exactly necessarily talking about problems. It might include problems, but could be other things as well. So it's just a matter of public concern. That means something that people care about. A topic in the public that people care about or think about or want to change or want to focus on. This is an issue. What are the popular issues of the day, people say? The common issues of the day. Do we say the common problems of the day? Probably not really. Probably not really, okay? So there's an important difference there. Point or matter of discussion, debate, or dispute. Discussing legal issues. Again, are these legal problems? Probably not. If someone says, I have some legal issues right now, that's a problem. Okay, you have some legal problems right now. Something's going on. Maybe you're being sued or whatever it may be. Okay, then it means problem. But if someone says generally legal issues, we're talking about legal issues, we're not necessarily talking about things that are wrong. We might just be talking about anything related to law. Interesting points concerned with the law. So it's just a point of interest, a point of discussion, something that people want to talk about. That's basically how it works, okay? Now, I want to get into a couple where we might just use issue and it's completely unrelated to problem. Completely unrelated, okay? This is when we use issue as a verb or a noun related to the idea of giving out. The latest issue of a magazine. So if you're wondering how to talk about a publication and the last thing, the last one of that publication, maybe you're subscribed to a magazine, whatever it may be. Maybe it's Forbes or whatever it is, and they put one out and maybe you get it even in the mail. Well, that is one what? Well, you could say, I got the most recent Forbes in the mail today. Okay, that's fine. But a common way to say it for this type of thing is issue. Why? One meaning of issue is to send out, to put out there, to distribute, right? You could even say if there's smoke coming out of a chimney, you could say smoke was issuing out of the chimney as a verb. Now, I know that sounds a little weird, and it is a bit old-fashioned, so I'm not recommending that you say that. I'm just saying if you wrote that, people would understand what you mean. That's what it means, but that's kind of old-fashioned. That's why I didn't write that one here. But the other one, the payments were issued out over a period of months, would be common if we're talking about distributing something. Like payments, we can use it also as a verb, like this one. I don't know if you know what happened recently in America due to the pandemic issue. Now, that one is could be regarded as a problem, or it could be just regarded as a thing that's going on that people are concerned about and talking about. You could see it either way. That's okay. The government decided to send out checks to people for $1,200 each that arrived in people's mailboxes, or some of them arrived directly. So they issued those payments over a period of several months. That means they distributed them. They sent them out over a period of several months. So this is the verb one. This one is totally different. Just want to be very, very clear about that. Okay, now let's look at, again, we're trying to get a feeling for this. So now we're going to look at some examples where issue and problem overlap. Overlap means they cover the same territory. We can use them interchangeably. So let's look at some examples for that one. We're having some problems with a contractor. Good. We're having some issues with a contractor. Same thing. Is there a difference in feeling? Problems might be a little bit stronger, but generally they're interchangeable, and the meaning here is the same. Is it a problem if I sit in the back and listen? That means maybe there's class going on, maybe a boyfriend dating a teacher, and he's waiting for her to finish school, and so he's going to just go sit in the back of the classroom and wait for her to finish. I know that's a weird thing to do, but whatever. It's the first example I could think of. Is it an issue if I sit in the back and listen? Okay, same thing. Is it a problem? Is it an issue? What's the issue? If you want to understand, if you want someone to tell you something, what's the issue? What's the problem? These are exactly the same. Someone says, oh, we need some help. We need some help. What's the issue? Explain it to me. What's the problem? Explain it to me. Generally speaking, these are exactly the same. All right, so hopefully we're starting to get a feeling for this. We have one more piece of this to look at. And that is where it doesn't quite work, and we have some subtle differences between these, okay? So let's look at no problem. When you do something that might be considered inconvenient or difficult, then people might say, oh, thank you so much. Oh, I really appreciate you driving all the way over here to pick me up. Oh, no problem, no problem, no problem. It's like you're welcome, or it's not a big deal to me. It's fine. Well, could I say no issue? No issue, no issue. I guess you could. And if you said no issue, it's not wrong, but it's far less common. And really, the common expression is no problem. All right, so you'll hear maybe some people say no issue, but it doesn't feel quite right to me. It's much more common, and the common expression is no problem. No problem pretty much just means you're welcome, really, after you've done something kind of difficult. I have a problem with that. I have an issue with that. Now, again, both of these could work. However, it's a frequency issue. I have a problem with that. Well, it does sound somewhat straight, direct, and could be regarded as slightly rude. It's still extremely common. When someone says an idea about something or suggests something, you say, man, I kind of have a problem with that. Kind of might make it a little bit softer, which is good, right? If you want to make it softer. But problem is way more common than issue in this case. I have a problem with that, is what people will say. Most people will not say I have an issue with that. Economic problems or economic issues. Here we have a subtle difference. If someone says economic problems, we're definitely talking about things being wrong. Something bad. This country is having economic problems. Maybe it's debt, maybe whatever it is. Something is wrong. But if you say economic issues, we could just be, as I mentioned before, talking about concerns related to the economy, discussion points about the economy, understanding how the economy is going right now, whether it's good or bad. So economic issues just could be something that people want to talk about related to the economy. But if someone says they are having economic issues, having issues, not discussing issues, having issues, then suddenly it means problem again. So it's really contextual, right? If you have an issue, that's a problem. I have an issue in the case of the economy or things like that. If you're talking about issues, then maybe you don't have a problem. Maybe you're just talking about stuff that people want to talk about, a point of concern or interest, right? So it's quite subtle. And it's important to pay attention to those differences because changing that slightly can make a big difference in meaning. A problem area. A problem area. I would say that patience is a problem area for me. Maybe if I'm doing a personality review. Patience is a problem area for me. That is totally common, totally normal, totally natural. Would we say an issue area? This is an issue area for me. No, 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 no. You can't say that one. That one doesn't make sense. Don't use issue area. So I hope that now you have a better understanding of the differences between problem and issue. But I hope even more you have a feeling for how you should explore words. By exploring words and phrases through example and lots of examples, and comparing them and looking at them and thinking about them and making your own, you begin to feel the right way to use each of these words that might be very similar, or each of the phrases that might be very similar. And this is extremely important so that you don't use the wrong thing and cause something to feel awkward for others. So learn this way. I want this to be a kind of template for you for how you learn words and phrases. Hopefully it's useful. If you guys haven't already, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. Don't forget, if you haven't already, check out my full English learning courses. If you're interested in really improving your English, check out my full courses in the links in the description.